Greetings and welcome to Growth Hacking Secrets. I'm your host, Mohammed Siddique from Atlanta, Georgia. On this episode, we have a special guest, best-selling author and a business growth expert, Laura Patterson. Please join me to give a warm welcome to our guest, Laura Patterson. Laura, welcome.
Thank you so much for having Ms. Siddique. I'm very excited to be with you today.
The feeling is mutual. Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
This was a really hard question for me to think about. So first of all, for the people who are listening in, I was born and raised in the Midwest, so in the middle of the country. So if anybody who knows about people from like Missouri, I'm from the Show Me State. So if you think about that, it's about being very practical, down to earth, no nonsense. And I think that has pretty much permeated my entire life. And the people that have surrounded me have been very much like that. So I've been very fortunate to, even at the early age of 10 years old, to have my first mentor. That was a neighbor down the street. And she was all about thinking strategically, anticipating what might happen if you do something, what might be the result of that, and really understanding consequences of your behavior, right? So this is played into what we do in our work today, is understanding behavior and trying to understand if you do X, Y might happen, or Z might happen, or how can you get Z to happen, right? And all of my mentors have been very similar in that way, the mentors through my career as well as in my personal life.
What are the top 3 mistakes to avoid?
This is a great question, and I'm going to take it from the perspective of businesses. Being a business owner myself since 1999, having had a long corporate career in all size companies, small startup companies to big companies like Motorola, and working with companies of all sizes, I find that there are 3 common things that are kind of mistakes to avoid. First, random acts, just randomly doing things, not really being thoughtful about them, just random acts. So they could be random acts of marketing or random acts of selling. Doesn't really matter, just random acts of hiring. Which takes me to the second one, focusing more on selling than serving. I'm a big believer that one must be, in order to be successful in business, you must be willing to serve your customers, serve your team, serve your community, not so much on selling. And then lastly, lack of planning. That's kind of tied to random acts, but it's slightly different. You can actually plan a random act, but lack of planning in general, I think, is often a mistake. So those are the 3 that I would talk about.
What is your great failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
So, Siddique, I'm kind of an unusual critter. I spent over a dozen years racing in triathlons. I'm not really an athlete. So what I would like to say is maybe it's not failures. There's really no such thing as failures, but there are such things as experiments. So every day, something could happen. And the real question is, what did you learn from it? And how can you make it better the next time? So I'm a strong believer in iteration, getting better, right? And if we had time, I would tell you about my very first triathlon, because I think it would explain why I think that way. So maybe another time I can share with you that story. People have heard me tell that story before, but really it is more about looking at what you do and what can you learn from it? What are the things that you did well and what are the ways that you can improve?
What are your top 3 success secrets others can model from?
Okay, so I think that people would tell you that one of my highest or most common characteristics is perseverance. I am someone who doesn't really give up. I'll keep on trying. So perseverance, I think, can play well for anyone in any job, in any place in their career, is perseverance. I think the second one is, remember, it's all about the people. That's all it's really about. When you get to the end of the journey, it's really about the people you were on the journey with. And so I really think it's more about that. And people often forget that. It's easy to get wrapped up in all the stuff that's going on and lose sight of that. And the last one is be generous. We live to share. We give a lot of stuff away. I'll have a conversation with somebody. I don't charge them for that if I can help them. If it's, the point I'm trying to make is there's nothing wrong with being generous. I kind of do believe if you put it out there, it's okay. Something will come back.
We are about to start a lightning round. That means quick question and quick answer. Are you ready?
Lightning round. Yes, I'm ready.
Yes. How do you overcome a challenge life throws at you?
So I'm a big believer in prayer, and I also believe breathing can make a difference. But for me, the best way to overcome a challenge is to break it down into doable chunks, doable steps, rather than to think of it in some big magnitude. What's the small steps I can break it into that I can achieve? And before you know it, you can be much further along in the challenge than you expected.
What is the advice you will give to younger yourself?
It's okay to have fun. I didn't have a whole lot of fun when I was growing up. I was very studious and very focused, and I just had to get it all done. And I'm still very much that way. And so, trying to have more fun. Life is short, so try to have more fun.
What is the impactful book you have read, and what did you learn from it?
I love reading. I try to be reading a variety of different books. I'm an avid whodunit fiction fan, but I also do read quite a few books that I think will help me and well as the business. So I have some favorites. I thought I'd share some favorites with you. One is The One Thing by Gary Keller. This is an awesome book. I didn't read it when it first came out. I read it later. But what I love about Gary Keller is we think very much alike. Identify what must be done, how you're going to quantify it, and then how will you focus on getting that done. And always keep in mind that everything you're doing in that day should be to accomplish that one thing. A second book I read, and I read this a couple years ago, and it is The Thought Leaders Practice. And this really changed the way I thought about our company. So, and what does it mean to be a thought leader? And I love some of the metaphors in here. The next one is Russell Brunson's book. And I just got this book last week. I just started it. It's called Expert Secrets. We have a lot of frameworks in our company. And I am so excited to read this book and understand how to really bring those frameworks into the construct that he has. So those are my three books that I
answer this question, please. What's the impact of this expert? Can you bring this book back, please?
Expert Secrets?
Yeah. So far, okay. So far, what's the impact you see? What did you learn from it so far? There's some promise because
I learned that I'm smarter than I thought I was. I learned that I have frameworks, and we have been leveraging them for a really long time. And I never really thought about him that way. And I'm going to learn from him how I articulate these frameworks better. I'm very excited about that.
I understand that you are a best-selling author yourself. So can you show us your own book and why someone should read that book?
Yes. So this is my fourth book. It's called Fast Track Your Business. And this book was inspired by some customers. So this book has a framework in it called the Circle of Traction, which we share with our customers and to help them grow. And one of our customers once said to us, actually several, as we were walking through this, when are you going to put this in a book? And that is the inspiration of this book. So Circle of Traction was inspired by customers who love the framework and asked me to put it in a book. And the point of the book is, how do you start to grow? How do you create traction for growth? And it all starts at the top of what we call our wheel, the circle of traction, with understanding your customer. It all starts with customer insights. And so that's where the story begins.
Why being impactful is important to you?
Okay, so Siddique, I am not going to be leaving a legacy. First of all, I have no children. And second of all, I'm not Da Vinci or Newton or Galileo or Aristotle, so I have no other legacy. So being impactful now and making a difference to the people's lives I intersect with, that's why it's important, because that is my legacy. Making a difference for a customer, making a difference for a friend, making a difference for my family. That's the legacy that I can leave.
Who is your mentor and what's the impact?
I have really been blessed, Siddique, with multiple mentors in different, and one that I talk about a lot is who served on the board for our company, who passed away a few years ago, Sonia St. James. she would always say this to me, so I will pass this wisdom on. Do only what you can do. So for those of us who are business owners, what she would say to me is, if someone else can do that better than you can do it, then you should use it. And here's a very quick story, and I know you will probably edit this out, but I want to share it with you. So when we first started working together and started getting, she was on our board, we had contracts, and she turned to me, she goes, Laura, I didn't know you had a law degree. And I said, I don't have a law degree. She goes, oh, then don't you think you should have a lawyer look at those contracts? And then a little bit later, we were working on something else, and I was talking about something we were doing, and I was mentioning something about accounting or whatnot. And she goes, Laura, since the last time we talked, did you get your CPA? And I said, no. She goes, hire an accountant. So that was her message. Only do what only you can do. And I think that's a great message, and that's one of my mentors. And I have some others that are that have been in my life and are in my life, and they're just remarkable.
What do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for being a good friend, someone who cared about people and who tried to make life better for them. I would like to be remembered for that. Who did good things, you know?
Who is your ideal client?
My ideal client. So for our company, we are really fortunate that we have customers that run the gamut. B2B customers are all B2B. B2B customers that run the gamut of early stage to very long-term and established companies. And if you get a chance to check out our awesome customers page on our website, you'll see that that is a very wide range of customers. And we work predominantly in 5 spaces in the B2B space. Financial services, which is where I started my career, medical devices and healthcare, technology, industrial, and then transportation and logistics. So usually those are the 5 spaces that we work in. So our customers are, what's unique about them is they are obsessed with growth. They want to grow, and they want to do it with a customer-centric focus. So that's what they want to do, and they want to do it organically, because you can grow through acquisition, right? But they want to do it organically. And they believe in the power of data and the power of process. So they understand that is important. It's not just experience. It's not just intuition. They really want data to support the decisions so that they can make those confidently.
How can we support you?
Oh, I would love it if you would help sell my book. That would be great. And yes, send people to VisionEdgeMarketing.com. I would love to have a conversation. We offer free 20-minute conversation to anyone, and we promise that they will walk away with one good free idea that will help their business.
What would you say as a final word?
Always be growing.
Thank you so much, Laura, for sharing your wisdom with us today. On the behalf of Growth Hacking Secrets community and our entire team, we really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia. Until the next episode, all good wishes.